I'm grateful she's hanging on and I want her to continue to, but I feel selfish that this...
Starspill USA presents a shocking exposé that peels back the carefully curated layers of reality TV fiction to reveal the raw, chaotic truth beneath the sister wives' empire truth that was never meant to leave the courtroom but now refuses to be silenced. What unfolded behind the walls of Flagstaff County Superior Court wasn't simply a courtroom dispute or a family disagreement. It was a bombshell saga of betrayal, manipulation, and federal-level allegations that dismantled the very myth of the Brown family's unity. The room had been dead silent, tension crackling like static in the air. When Judge Howard dropped his gavel just once and spoke the words that would rip the sister wives' fandom apart, this was all a lie. Gasps ricocheted across the room. Phones clattered to the ground. Reporters scrambled from their seats. And in the center of the chaos sat Robyn and Janelle Brown. No longer protected by TLC contracts, glossy editing, or family loyalty. There were no producers whispering directions, no soft lighting or controlled story arcs, just two women now on opposing ends of a legal maelstrom. With their credibility evaporating minute by minute. How did we get here? Once hailed as a unique, but functioning polygamous family. The Browns sold a version of plural marriage filled with spiritual commitments, teary-eyed couch interviews, and public unity despite private growing pains. Fans believe they knew them, the gentle Robyn, misunderstood and teary-eyed, and Janelle, the rock-solid voice of reason who never took sides. But what the cameras didn't show was a storm years in the making, secret bank accounts forged, custody documents, and betrayal at such a scale that even longtime supporters were left speechless. The case cracked open when an anonymous leak arrived at the Flagstaff County Courthouse, an unmarked envelope containing a USB flash drive ominously labeled Property, Lies, and Custody Crimes. Inside were financial spreadsheets, called transcripts, forged notary stamps, and hours of audio implicating none other than Robyn and, shockingly, Janelle herself. The woman once seen as Kody's most sensible and grounded wife was allegedly linked to shell companies created to redirect family funds into private accounts, including suspicious charitable donations made through Robyn's now-defunct online jewelry business. Documents indicated the existence of jointly held financial accounts. Despite Janelle and Robyn having publicly distanced themselves from one another in recent years. But worse still were texts and emails showing attempts to manipulate custody, schedules to isolate certain family members, particularly Christine and her children after Christine's high-profile departure from the family in 2021. A turning point came when prosecutors revealed a property deed titled in Janelle's name mere days before Kody filed for bankruptcy. A move that appeared less like coincidence and more like financial sleight of hand. Robyn, once the emotional heart of the show, appeared increasingly strategic in the damning recordings, saying in one clip played in court, "Kody listens to me. If I say something's best for the family, he trusts that. I've been planning this. The others don't need to know specifics." In that moment, a courtroom filled with fans, journalists, and even former members of neighboring polygamous communities gasped, many visibly shaken. Kody, sitting 2 rows behind the defendants, looked as though he'd been hit by a freight train. The man once seen as the patriarch now looked like a pawn. And as the court battle intensified, social media erupted. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube including. Starspill USA exploded with reaction videos, theories, breakdowns, and demands for justice. Hashtags like #SisterWivesScam and #Justice for Christine trended for days. Even longtime loyalists of Janelle now questioned her motives. Was she simply misled, or was she a quiet co-conspirator all along? Evidence continued to pile up. Recordings allegedly taken over a 3-year period inside the Brown household began as mundane background chatter but quickly spiraled into alarming strategy sessions. Conversations about how to conceal money from Christine, discussions on pressuring Savannah to keep quiet during therapy, and even debates about how to reframe public narratives began surfacing. Fans were outraged. A former therapist who had worked with the family, Dr. M. Lanier, appeared on national television to claim the case was a textbook example of long-term emotional triangulation. A Change.org petition calling for Robyn and Janelle to be removed from all future TLC programming soared past 250,000 signatures in under 48 hours. One of the most emotionally gut-wrenching moments came when Savannah Brown, Janelle's own daughter, posted on Instagram, "I don't know who to trust anymore. We were taught to love family, not to betray it." Although the post was swiftly deleted, screenshots spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, the court proceedings revealed that Janelle had met privately with Robyn's lawyer in late 2022, allegedly to discuss restructuring the narrative around Christine's departure. A copy of an internal family email surfaced showing Janelle advocating for delaying Christine's exit until the season's storyline could be tied off properly. Viewers who had once defended Janelle now watched in disbelief. Was she manipulating events for TLC ratings, or worse, for personal financial gain? The courtroom was packed every day with fans, ex-polygamists, journalists, and even former TLC staff. Christine, ever the symbol of strength and heartbreak, was photographed sitting alone in the courtroom gallery, arms folded, her gaze unflinching. Kody sat just rows ahead, his head bowed, eyes closed in what some interpreted as shame, others as denial. Robyn and Janelle, flanked by lawyers, rarely made eye contact. At one point, Robyn reportedly whispered to her attorney, "I told her this would backfire." The bond between the two was visibly unraveling. Insider sources claimed they hadn't spoken outside of court in weeks. And then came the footage from the folder labeled "Whispers from the Walls," a deeply unsettling compilation of secretly recorded audio captured from within the Brown home itself. The files presented by prosecutors showed escalating conversations, where Robyn and Janelle discussed controlling the family's property portfolio, directing media narratives, and isolating certain children from others, though Kody wasn't directly accused in the indictment. The evidence made it clear, his blind trust in Robyn had created a vacuum of power, one that enabled unchecked manipulation and hidden financial dealings. Still, he refused to comment. When asked by a local reporter for a statement, all Kody offered was, "I don't know who they are anymore." On social media, public opinion was brutal. Viewers demanded reparations for Christine and her children. One viral video laid out how, while Christine had been vilified for leaving, the real puppet masters were moving money and pulling strings behind the scenes. Calls mounted for a full investigation into TLC's knowledge of the situation, with many accusing the network of burying signs of familial distress in favor of protecting its most marketable storylines. And then came a devastating blow, an audio file dated just before Christine's exit in 2021, in which Janelle was heard saying, "If we delay her for 2 more months, the network can wrap season 16 without chaos. Then we let her go quietly." Christine's supporters were livid, so she wasn't crazy, she wasn't impulsive. She was managed like a production variable. Week 2 of the trial was anticipated like a blockbuster film. Crowds gathered at the courthouse steps each morning. Security had to be doubled. Inside, the courtroom air was thick. The prosecution called for Robyn to retake the stand, and speculation rose: would Janelle be forced to testify against her former confidant? Would Robyn flip and name others to save herself? As of now, no formal sentencing has occurred. But one thing is undeniable: the illusion is shattered. Sisterhood, the spiritual marriage, the Brown legacy, none of it looks the same. The courtroom exposed what TLC never dared to air: emotional manipulation, hidden financial schemes, and a betrayal so deep that even blood ties couldn't excuse it. What happens next could determine not only the future of the family, but the ethics of reality television itself. itself.
And the exposure that her kids were still getting. Garrison and Gabriel are both existing and working outside of the house.
What began as a shocking courtroom scandal swiftly transformed into a full-blown emotional reckoning and legal earthquake that shattered the illusion of unity the Brown family had upheld for years. In a pivotal audio recording from March 17, 2023, Robyn and Janelle Brown were caught plotting how to discredit Christine, with Robyn coldly stating, "She's falling apart, Janelle. We just have to let her burn out while we prepare the new trust forms." That chilling comment, followed by the rustle of papers and faint laughter, set the tone for what would become the most damaging trial in reality TV history. Another recording captured Janelle lamenting Christine and Mary's social media rise, sneering they think becoming a victim will get them popular. "We'll bury them in legal documents if we have to." These tapes, verified as genuine by the Arizona Bureau of Investigation and deemed legal under the state's one-party consent law, were entered into court and detonated like a cultural bomb. Headlines exploded with phrases like "sister wives," "betrayal revealed," and "Robyn and Janelle's secret tapes destroy family legacy." As the internet reeled YouTube breakdowns, TikTok stitches, and Reddit sleuths dissected every syllable, perhaps most damning was Robyn's voice asserting, "Kody trusts me. I tell him what's best. If I say Mary's unstable, he believes it. That's how we keep things in order." It rocked fans who had believed for years in Robyn's soft-spoken devotion, now suddenly recontextualized as manipulation cloaked in sentimentality. Then came the real explosion, a document called the Custody Override Plan, listing strategies to emotionally alienate Christine from her children, with scripted talking points to feed to a court-appointed therapist. Christine's lawyer called it long-term coercion, and the court agreed. Its silence punctuated only by the shifting of horrified observers in their seats. Kody, pale and visibly shaken, sat behind the defense table, avoiding eye contact. Janelle flinched every time her own voice echoed back at her, while Robyn remained motionless, fists clenched. The most damning quote came when Robyn was heard, saying, "Let's fast-track the trust filing. We need Coyote Pass secured under my name. That way, if they leave empty-handed." Audible gasps swept the courtroom. Even Judge Howren, known for his stern calm, appeared visibly disturbed. In another clip, Robyn seemingly coached a Brown child on what to say during therapy, suggesting they describe their mother as always angry and hard to live with. Legal analysts compared the moment to a reality TV Watergate, calling it one of the most stunning betrayals of trust in reality show history. TLC paused production while Robyn and Janelle's legal teams tried damage control, dismissing the audio as out-of-context venting. But it was too late. The public had turned. Former defenders of Janelle now called her part of a silent coup. One viral TikTok overlaid Robyn's cold courtroom statements onto old scenes of her weeping on the show, showing how different the private and public personas had become. The line that broke the internet came from Janelle. "Kody only questions me when Christine's around. Once she's out, I'll manage him. Okay. Robyn and I already talked to her about it." That one sentence shattered her image as the grounded, neutral wife and exposed her as a co-conspirator. Inside the courtroom, Christine and Mary sat side by side, emotionless, their attorneys nodding silently with each blow. At one point, Christine reportedly wiped a tear after hearing Robyn's voice say, "She'll walk eventually. She's soft. When she does, we'll rewrite everything in our favor." What had begun as a civil hearing was now a collective grief session for years of manipulation and buried betrayal. Stretching back through the family's time in Las Vegas and beyond, reports from family therapists submitted into evidence revealed how multiple Brown children had complained of gaslighting, loneliness, and emotional manipulation in the years leading up to Christine's departure. Judge Howren's opening statement said it all. These are not innocuous family disputes. These are deliberate acts of deception with possible long-term damage. As the final tape clicked off, the room sat in eerie silence, only the clicking of journalists' keyboards filled the void. That same day, Robyn and Janelle were ordered back for second depositions under oath. Christine's legal team filed an emergency motion to freeze Robyn's access to family assets and limit her influence on custody decisions. The tapes immediately became more than evidence, they were a cultural reset. The Brown family's decades-long mythology of love, unity, and plural resilience disintegrated into what now appeared to be a ruthless struggle for power and control. By day 3, fans, reporters, and former believers filled the courthouse steps before sunrise. Inside, the air was heavy with anticipation. The prosecution began with a declaration that shook the rafters. We intend to prove that crimes were not only committed, but intentionally hidden under layers of deceit, media spin, and strategic PR. Financial documents followed spreadsheets, deposit slips, and records linked directly to a business Robyn and Janelle co-owned, previously sold to the public as a support brand for polygamous women. But prosecutors revealed it was a shell company used for tax evasion and fraudulent financial maneuvering. A former employee took the stand in tears, saying she'd been asked to alter records and told it's just bookkeeping. What? Janelle's legal team attempted to discredit her, but a second witness, a former accountant, recovered emails and deleted transactions Janelle had allegedly scrubbed from her computer. A digital forensic expert testified that even wiped data left traces, and those traces told a damning story: hidden bank transfers, mismatched inventory reports, and suspicious charitable deductions. Twitter exploded with hashtags like #BrownFamilyScandal and #RealityFraud. Things only got worse. The prosecution played an old Sister Wives clip in which Robyn sweetly claimed, "We don't mix business with personal life. It keeps everything clean." But now, that promise sounded like a grotesque joke. The next bombshell came from a whistleblower deposition. A former close friend of Robyn, who claimed Robyn had recruited women from the polygamous community to invest in the wellness company, promising huge returns through a referral structure that bore all the markings of a pyramid scheme. The judge asked sternly, "Was this disclosed to the IRS or state regulators?" The reply, "No, Your Honor." For the first time, Janelle looked visibly shaken. She leaned into her lawyer, whispering quickly, her face drained of all color. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as it became clear this wasn't just about petty disputes or passive-aggressive rivalries, it was about deliberate deception, manipulation of children, fraudulent business dealings, and a betrayal of the very values the family once claimed to hold sacred. The myth was collapsing in real time, and everyone, fans, family, and court officials alike, was watching the fallout unfold. And the trial, with all its twists and revelations, was far from over.
So I kind of had this two lives. Like, I had this schedule I lived and I loved, and I went to bed when I wanted.
What began as a courtroom spectacle descended rapidly into a full-blown reckoning one, where legal revelations and emotional implosions collided, and where the long-standing mythology of the Brown family was shattered beyond repair. The shockwave truly erupted when a videotaped statement from Kody Brown himself was played in court, a moment that peeled back layers of artifice with stunning force. Kody, aged and weary, spoke candidly in a monotone that suggested both exhaustion and guilt. "I messed up. We all did. But I wasn't aware of what Robyn and Janelle were doing behind the scenes." That single line sent tremors through the room. Robyn's face turned crimson, her jaw locked in visible rage. Janelle looked stunned, blinking rapidly as if processing a betrayal she hadn't foreseen. Was this a man seeking redemption or self-preservation? Outside, news outlets and online sleuths raced to revise timelines and dig deeper. For many, Kody's confession wasn't just a betrayal of his wives, but a calculated pivot to save himself from sinking with them. As speculation burned across the internet, it became abundantly clear that this wasn't just family drama. It was a forensic dissection of a television empire built on influence, deception, and carefully curated illusions. In court, the judge concluded Session 3 with a stern warning, making it clear that personal grievances had now crossed into potential criminal territory. His words ignited a media frenzy. Would Christine take the stand? Would adult children of the Browns be subpoenaed? Meanwhile, Robyn and Janelle exited the courtroom under tight security. No longer spiritual matriarchs of a beloved family, but figures at the center of a cultural implosion. The dam burst in Session 4, when prosecutors unveiled what they ominously dubbed the collapse file, an archive of emails, financial records, and private messages that exposed years of scheming, asset shifting, and manipulation. A chilling email from Robyn read, "Let Janelle struggle. She chose her path." That sentence alone became a lightning rod, plastered across headlines and dissected by internet sleuths who once viewed Robyn as merely misunderstood. Janelle sat just feet away, stoic, her eyes glistening but defiant. Then came testimony from a former assistant who worked for Robyn for over 6 years, describing how Robyn wielded guilt and exclusion like weapons. She ruled like a queen. Kody was her puppet king, the witness said. Financial analysts presented evidence of shared family accounts rerouted into Robyn's LLC's luxury holiday homes, jewelry investments, and private Utah bank accounts, unreported. Janelle's attorneys retaliated with proof of $240,000 in funds owed to her that had mysteriously vanished, allegedly spent on family debts, though no records supported that claim. The judge paused the trial and summoned both Robyn and Janelle into chambers. When Robyn returned alone and Janelle remained inside for nearly an hour, speculation exploded. Had a confession occurred? Had Janelle flipped? She emerged transformed, her posture sharpened, her eyes gleaming with resolve. But the bombshell of the day came from an unexpected source, a former TLC producer. Granted permission to testify, claimed the entire show was manipulated beyond belief. It wasn't reality TV. It was Robyn's reality, he said, recounting how scenes were reshot if Janelle appeared too strong and how internal family strife was hidden from public view. The gallery erupted in audible gasps. Robyn's mask of control flickered. Outside, crowds chanted justice for Janelle, as hashtags like #reveal the queen and #expose the lies trended globally. As Session 5 dawned, the tone had shifted. The courthouse reopened with none of the glitz, only quiet dread. Within 24 hours of the final ruling, Robyn vanished from public life, social media scrubbed, online boutique deleted. Digital silence so total it only raised more suspicions. But digital sleuths unearthed more. Former insiders stepped forward anonymously, claiming Robyn had been funneling family funds into private trusts and manipulating property transfers for years. Then came leaked footage from a production assistant showing Robyn threatening to withhold her children from family events unless Kody shielded her legally. Christine, long quiet during the courtroom chaos, filed a civil lawsuit against Robyn and Kody for financial fraud and emotional manipulation. Her lawyers claimed Christine had built equity in the family estate while Robyn reaped the rewards. As Christine pressed forward, Janelle's public image buckled. Though never criminally convicted, court documents linked her to secret accounts and questionable financial practices. A now-deleted tweet from her son, Garrison, read, "We thought Mom was protecting us." Maybe she was protecting herself. Shame. That tweet shattered illusions, raising questions about what Janelle had hidden, not just from the public, but her own children. Meanwhile, Kody Brown vanished, reportedly living in isolation near the Utah border, disheveled and muttering about betrayal at a petrol station. TLC offered no comment on his whereabouts or the future of sister wives. But by now, the show had already evolved from a cultural curiosity about plural marriage to a haunting warning about unchecked power, narcissism, and media manipulation. Online content exploded. YouTubers, podcasters, and TikTok analysts dissected court footage frame by frame. Titles like Janelle's secret account exposed and Robyn lied under oath. Here's the footage pulled in millions of views. And behind the viral fervor, real lives quietly imploded. Christine, now living in Utah, granted a small, heartfelt interview. "I want peace," she said. "I want my kids to live in a world where love isn't a negotiation." Meanwhile, Robyn reemerged through a crisis PR agency claiming she was misrepresented and suing media outlets for defamation. But it was too late. Brands quietly pulled out from deals she had signed before trial. And Janelle tried to reclaim her story via a soft-spoken YouTube video titled "Starting Over." Big T and speaking of forgiveness. But the public was split. Some called her a liar, others a survivor. And at the center of the storm were the Brown children, formerly shielded, now painfully exposed. Court records and leaked footage turned them into unwilling symbols of a broken legacy. One of Mary's daughters posted, "We are not your entertainment. Stop turning our pain into memes." That plea marked the fairy tale's final fracture. The once bustling Brown cul-de-sac turned into a ghost town. A curiosity for tourists and real estate agents, marketing it as the sister wives lot. But no one returned, not Kody, not Janelle, not Robyn. What remained were frozen accounts, shattered trust, and the cold reality that the lives lived on camera were never meant to endure the harsh light of truth. And as the final gavel of public opinion fell far louder than any courtroom verdict, the sister wives saga was over. But the consequences, the stories, and the trauma, they were just beginning. Stay tuned, because here at Starspill USA, we'll keep uncovering what was hidden and sharing the stories they never thought you'd hear.